Okay, so another question that we get often is, all right, Juan, so how much deposit should we ask of the buyer when we are accepting an offer? So it really depends, but the idea behind the deposit is that it should be significant enough based on the buyer's ability to buy. So let me kind of clarify that a little bit. If we are selling a property, for instance, for just to keep numbers simple, for $100,000, right? And we are selling it to a cash buyer, typically it would be okay to ask about 10%, to ask of the cash buyer for about a 10% deposit. Anywhere between 5 and 10% deposit from a cash buyer is very reasonable, right? Because they are cash buyers, because we know that they have all the money in cash. If we are selling a, let's say, $100,000 property to somebody who is maybe an FHA or a VA buyer, and we know that the money that they have available to purchase the property is minimal, we are not going to be able to ask for 10% in deposit because they may not even have 10% in total for a down payment, right? So if they're buying a property for, let's say, $100,000, they may only have $3,000. That's what their down payment is. In that case, we might ask for a $2,000 deposit, right? In other words, 2% of the purchase price. So it depends on the type of buyer that we're working with. Let's say that we are selling a property to somebody who's coming in with 20% down payment. If somebody's coming in with 20% down payment, it's normal, it's reasonable to ask of them for a total of a 5% deposit, right? So if somebody's buying a property for, let's say, $100,000 and they would be coming in with 20% down payment, meaning they're putting down at $20,000, we might ask for a $5,000 deposit, right? So it's kind of proportional. The other thing too is that we usually might break it up into this much money either all up front, right? And depending on the buyer's agent and the buyer that they're working with, we might get an offer like that. Sometimes they'll say, look, we're going to give you a $20,000 deposit, $10,000 upon acceptance, right? So once we sign an offer, they'll put $10,000 in deposit. And then after inspections, they'll put an additional $10,000 deposit into escrow, and then they'll bring the balance to closing. So again, the idea behind the deposit is simply to make sure that the buyer is serious, that they're working diligently, moving their buying process forward, especially if you have financing involved, so that we can close on time and not have any delays. So to recap, basically the deposit is proportional to the purchase price, but it's also proportional to the amount of money that the buyer is coming in with as a down payment. So as a general rule of thumb, we'll typically ask for between 2 and 5% of the purchase price as a deposit. So anyway, I hope you find that helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions about this or anything else, and I will see you in another video.